I've always dreamed of flying, and when I rededicated my life to the Lord at 16, I felt the call to missions, and it was a number of years of preparation before we got there, and so it was just a really, really amazing to then be able to serve directly on the field of reaching these tribal people for the Lord. Their language has never been spoken outside of the tribe, and so they have never had access to the gospel. Wow. And so they go in, and it takes 10 to 15 years to plant a church in there. They got to spend years learning the culture, language. There's no Rosetta Stone, to figure out what's going on. It's like they have to write the book on this.
Yeah.
And again, they're completely isolated out there with these people as the people are, and so the aircraft is their only link to the outside world, and so it's just really neat to be a part of.
What you guys did to move there is amazing, and you were only there for 7 months, Jon, finally living the dream you'd had since you were 15 years old. 7 months into the time, you had a crazy, terrible accident. Tell me about that day.
Yeah, well, myself and the other pilots all rode motorcycles in the little 3-kilometer drive between the airstrip and the mission center we lived on. And I had just completed a full day of flying. I actually had passed an important check ride in my training. And as I was driving home, I was coming around a blind curve, and there was a drunk driver on my side of the road. We had a head-on collision. And it severed an artery below my knee. My leg got pinned between the motorcycle and the Land Cruiser, and the Lord just He allowed this accident to happen, but He miraculously saved my life through many miracles that happened that night. The first one being that it's not cultural for Papua New Guineans to stop and help accident victims. It's just not part of their culture. But there was a local pastor who was riding along in a public motor vehicle, and it was empty, and he convinced the driver, saying, "Hey, we need to stop and help," because at the end of the day, there's other people coming from the hangar, but they're all on motorcycles too. They wouldn't have been able to help me, and I've severed an artery. I'm bleeding to death.
Wow.
And so within minutes of the accident, they've had me in the back of that van and had me at the missions medical clinic, and so they could get a tourniquet and stuff applied, and then this is a small medical clinic. It's not a hospital or anything. And in fact, the main doctor that was there, she's a pediatrician by her trade. She's not a trauma doctor, and she had never seen an injury as extensive as the one that I had. I just shattered my leg below the knee, and my hemoglobin was down to like 2.7, which is not conducive to life. And the doctors were convinced I was going to die that night. They told 80 that I was either going to lose my leg or lose my life, and I was probably going to lose my life.
Wow.
And then they had never done a blood transfusion at this clinic before, and they couldn't determine a blood type on me. I didn't have enough blood for them to even determine what my blood type was, and she couldn't remember what it was, and I was in no condition to tell. But there was a nurse or a lab tech who had a dream previous that there was a mass trauma, and they did not know who the universal donors were, and it was tragic. So she woke up from the dream and went and registered all the universal blood donors on center, and so she had that list ready, and she was able to get them. And the first 3 people she called came right away, because I needed blood badly. I was literally dying, and then they needed blood bags for them to donate blood into. They don't stock those there. They're not set up for this. There was a man who had a blood condition that years previous, who needed his blood drained into a blood bag for some sort of testing. I'm not sure what it was, but they found 3 blood bags left over from that, and were able to administer 3 units of blood to me, which got me, survived until I was able to get to Australia. Now, the airstrip we flew out of, you can't fly at night.
Yeah, you had to wait till the next morning.
And so, because I wasn't stable.
All that time.
Yes. And so by the time I got to Australia, it's a 4-hour flight to get there. I had a tourniquet on for 17 hours. Yeah. And they tried to save the leg, but it just wasn't gonna survive. And so they had to amputate.
You guys went through such a long road to recovery. What was this like for you, seeing this happen to you? Here you are giving up everything to serve God, and then this terrible thing happens only 7 months in. How did you process that? I have to come clean. The issue of dirty water didn't really impact my heart the way that hunger or other urgent health threats did, even though I fundraised for it for years. I mean, in my head, I knew it was vital, But it just didn't land in my heart in the same way. That was until one day in northern Uganda, I witnessed this.
I'm so excited I decided to carry this child and come and witness, see with my own eyes if really we are going to have safe water. Today we are starting to drink very clean and safe water that I don't think any of us is going to complain of stomach pain again.
As I witnessed people literally transform from waterborne illness and death to life and hope, I got it in a way I can't even explain. It's a miracle we've been able to give to more than 230,000 people so far, but thousands more are waiting. Crossroads Cares has the expertise, the proven track record, an amazing partner on the ground. We just need you. Together we can help thousands of people have life through clean water. Will you join us? The link is on your screen. Please go online right now. And thank you for caring for people on the other side of the world.
Well, there's the shock factor that happens. I was in almost a surreal shock, feeling when it all was happening. And then as soon as we were medevac to Australia, we were surrounded by missionaries left and right, or people that supported missionaries, and just came and encouraged us, loved on us, made meals for us. I just felt an overwhelming peace from the Lord that He had this covered. And I remember posting on Facebook. We started posting right away on Facebook messages just to let out the news to our family of what was going on. And I remember the Lord just telling me, I've got this. This is from me. And my post said, God's got His leg. And when John kind of came to after having surgeries and blood donations, I just said, how you doing, honey? And he goes, the Lord knows. It is what it is, and I don't know why, but I have an overwhelming peace, from God that this is from Him, and we're supposed to glorify Him. Mm-hmm. I didn't know if some of it was the drug speaking, but I've known him since I was 11, and he was 13, and he's always been determined, and let's adapt and then overcome. That's always been his personality, with the Lord guiding him, but it's no surprise to me that he's come this far.
You're a fighter, and you woke up with that incredible peace, but then you had a 7-month long recovery of all kinds of setbacks, to the point now you've had this leg for just 3 months?
3 months.
Prosthetic leg. So tell me about the process of processing this with God and your faith.
Oh yeah, like I said, I woke up with an overwhelming sense of peace, but there still is the realities then of, hey, this has completely changed my life and stuff, and so there was and the process of 7 months without being able to walk, because the tourniquet did damage high up on my thigh, and they amputated a little bit below the tourniquet line, and so I ended up with muscle tissue that ended up basically dying, and it took 5 months for that process to go through, and so I knew I couldn't get a leg until my prosthetic leg until my stump healed. And it just wasn't healing, and so that was a very difficult time. My wife is really the hero in the story, in that she had to pick up all of the slack, because I was pretty doped up, So even I wasn't necessarily mentally there for probably about 4 months, 5 months of that time, because I was on all kinds of different pain meds and drugs and stuff, and which I'm completely off of now, which is wonderful.
Yeah, and you're walking great. I've seen you walk.
Yeah, and she had to pick up the slack of basically being a single parent then, and she had to load my wheelchair whenever we went anywhere, and doing everything. And so she is really, in many ways, it's been more difficult for her than it has been for me. Although I'm living with disability, she had to pick up all the pieces.
Yeah.
And so
for better or for worse, sickness and health. Right?
But the Lord works through adversity. That's where He can shine. And the sense I have from the Holy Spirit saying, just glorify me, is what the Lord was telling me. And realize that when we respond in a way that is peculiar to the world, that we should be angry, we should be mad at God and depressed and we didn't have any of that because we put our trust in the Lord and said, this is what we trust in Him, and He's going to carry us through. He has His purposes on this, and that speaks volumes. And we overwhelmed the post department at the hospital with people sending in cards and letters, and they were saying, who is this guy? What's going on? And we tell them we're missionaries and we have all the support around the world, and this is why we are responding this way, is because we have the power of the Lord in us, and so we were able to witness in a way that we never could have before. And so it's been a neat to be able to, because it's not about us. I mean, if it was left to us, we'd be a mess. It's the power of the Lord working through us, and we just get the privilege of being a vessel to channel the power of the Lord through.